I hope you all are doing well. In this video, I will discuss about the placenta previa, which is very important topic from the examination point of view. Plus, this is one of the main cause of antepartum hemorrhage. What is previa? The meaning of previa is previous. Pre stands for before. So it is clear from the name placenta previa that the placenta is present before anything. Means the placenta is present before the fetus. Next is definition. When the placenta is implanted or attached partially or completely over the lower uterine segment. In this diagram you can see the placenta is partially implanted over the lower uterine segment. While in this diagram you can see the placenta is completely implanted over the lower uterine segment. Over and adjacent to the internal os. So placenta is present over the internal os. What is internal os? The point where the cervix and the uterus meet, that is known as internal os. So placenta is present over the internal os and adjacent means close to or next to the internal os. It is called placenta previa. Next is its causes. So the exact causes of placenta previa is not clear. So here I already wrote the exact cause is not known, which is not clear, and the following theories are assumed to be the cause. So these are hypotheses that these theories may be applied, or these theories may be explain the cause of placenta previa. So it includes 4 theories. First one is dropping down theory. Second one is persistence of chorionic activity. Third one is defective decidua. Fourth one is big surface area of the placenta. First one is dropping down theory. In this, the fertilized ovum drops dropping down, drops down and implant at the lower uterine segment. So there are 2 causes behind this, that why the fertilized ovum drops down and implant at the lower uterine segment. So the first cause is poor decidual reaction. So first of all, what is decidual reaction? In this diagram you can see these are the 3 layers of uterus. First one is serosal layer, that is thin. Second one is thick layer of muscles, that is myometrium. This is myometrium. And this is the inner lining in the brown color, that is endometrium. And during pregnancy the changes occur in this layer, in the endometrium, and this layer becomes thick during pregnancy, so that to provide the proper nourishment to the fetus. But in the case of poor decidual reaction, if the thickness of decidua is less than 2 mm, or when the decidua is not formed properly at the upper uterine segment, that is known as poor decidual reaction. And due to the poor decidual reaction, the ovum drops down and implanted at the lower uterine segment. The second cause in the dropping down theory is zona pellucida fails to disappear. Zona pellucida is a layer around the unfertilized ovum. This is an unfertilized ovum and this is a zona pellucida around the ovum. this is a layer which disappears after 5 days of fertilization. But if it fails to disappear, then what happens? Then it prevents the implantation of fertilized ovum inside the uterine cavity. So these two are considered to be the causes of dropping down of fertilized ovum. Next theory is persistence of chorionic activity. First of all, you can see in this diagram, this is a chorion in the red color, and these are the fine projections of the chorion, that is known as chorionic villi. These are invading, or these are entering in the decidua to get the nourishment for the baby. This is the innermost layer of the uterus, which is normally known as endometrium, but during pregnancy this is known as decidua. So the decidua which participates in the formation of placenta, that is known as decidua bacillus, while the rest of the decidua which lining the uterine cavity, that is known as decidua parietalis or decidua vira, while the decidua which covers the embryo, that is known as decidua capsularis. So in the orange color, this is decidua. Normally the chorionic villi are invading in the upper uterine segment in the decidua bacillus. But if these chorionic activity, these chorionic villi start projecting out in the decidua capsularis, like here. If the this is a chorionic activity that the fine projections are invading inside the decidua for the nourishment. But if instead of decidua bacillus, this chorionic activity occurs here in the decidua capsularis, and when this decidua capsularis come in contact with decidua vira at the lower uterine segment, then the placenta is attached here at the lower uterine segment. Then there is a formation of proper placenta at the lower uterine segment, which is known as capsular placenta. So here I write, there is a persistence of chorionic activity in the decidua capsularis, which comes in contact with the decidua vira at the lower uterine segment, and then there is a proper formation of placenta at the lower uterine segment, that is known as capsular placenta. If the placenta is attached at the lower uterine segment, then that is known as placenta praevia. Next theory is defective decidua. If the decidua is not properly formed, if it is unable to provide the proper nourishment, in that case, to get the proper nourishment for the baby, these chorionic villi are spreading on the wider area like this. So when it spreads over the wider area, then it not only becomes thin but also implanted over the lower uterine segment. So here I write, wide spreading of chorionic villi, which leads to membranous placenta or placenta diffusa, which means the placenta become thin, plus implantation of placenta over the lower uterine segment, which means there is a placenta praevia. The fourth and the last theory is big surface area of placenta. Mostly in the cases of twin, we can find out that there is a big surface area of the placenta so as to get the more nourishment for the two babies, or in the case of twins or triplets. So in these cases, there are the chances of implantation of placenta over the lower uterine segment. So that's all about the causes. High risk factors. Placenta previa is much more common in the multiparous woman, that is the woman who is pregnant for more than one time, plus increased maternal age when the woman become pregnant at the age of more than 35 years. In that case also there is an increased risk of placenta previa. Third one is cesarean section or any other scar in tissues of the uterine cavity because of any surgery like myomectomy. So if there is a scar inside the uterine wall, it prevents the implantation of the placenta, which leads to placenta previa. Next is smoking or prior curettage. Curettage is a procedure in which the tissues from the uterine cavity is removed in the case of abortion or miscarriage. When there is abortion or miscarriage occurs, there are some tissues which left inside the uterine cavity. So this is a procedure in which the remaining tissues are removed. So that's all about the high risk factors. Next are the types of placenta previa, which is very, very important. So there are 4 types of placenta previa, that is low-lying placenta previa. Second one is marginal placenta previa. Third one is incomplete or partial central placenta previa. And fourth one is central or total placenta previa. So in the case of low-lying placenta previa, the major part of placenta is attached to the upper uterine segment. This is upper uterine segment. So major part of the placenta is attached to the upper uterine segment. Only the margin of the placenta, that is the edge of the placenta, is implanted at the lower uterine segment, but not up to the internal os. This is internal os. So placenta is attached at margin of the placenta attached at the lower uterine segment, but away from the internal os. Next type is marginal. In this case, the placenta reaches the margins of the internal os. This is internal os, and the placenta reaches at the margins, means at the edge of the internal os, but does not covers it. It just present at the side. Next is incomplete or partial central. In this case, the placenta covers the internal os partially. How? Like this is a closed internal os. In this case, the placenta covers the internal os. But when the internal os open, like in the case of full dilatation of cervix, this placenta does not entirely covers this internal os. It partially covers the internal os. While in this case, the placenta covers the internal os completely, even if it is fully dilated. So these are the 4 types of placenta previa. Next is minor and major placenta previa. In that case, type 1, that is low lying, plus type 2, anterior, in which the placenta is attached at the interior side. These are considered as the minor placenta previa. That is minor placenta previa. While the type 2 posterior, type 2 posterior, type 3 and type 4 is considered as the major placenta previa. And the most dangerous type is type 2 posterior, that is marginal placenta previa, is one of the dangerous type of placenta previa. So that's all about the types. Guys, if you find my videos useful, then please like the videos and subscribe my channel, and please share it with other friends too. So stay safe, stay at home. Good luck.